Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. In this video I am going to show you a command called gpedit.msc. That is group policy object, and you can edit. So what you do, if you do Windows key R, you get to the run. So you do and this is your local group policy editor. So what this is, if this was a server operating system, you could do the same thing as well. So what you can do locally, because I'm not connected to a server, is you could do a lot. So I'm going to slide this down. So here's what you have. You have software settings. What is that? I could set stuff up to where certain software cannot be used. You have Windows settings. I could do policy-based QoS, that's quality of service, settings, deployed printers, scripts. You could create your own scripts and put them in here. Name resolution policy, so if I do that, start up and shut down. What I can do is combine the threads of programs on here. And when that happens, instead of going into the desktop, then launching the program, it will launch the program at the same time Windows is going into the desktop. And then you have startup, same thing. Deployed printers. I could set stuff up to deploy printers on a network. You have security settings. You have account policies, password policy. I could set up this computer if, let's say you have family members and you want to keep track of how long they are on the computers. What you could do is you can enforce password history. So if someone's creating not very clean passwords, you'll figure that out. Age, length audit. You can audit passwords. Complexity requirements, relax minimum password lengths, which I would highly suggest don't do that, because the longer the password, the more secure the account is. Store passwords using reversible encryption, which means instead of encrypting it, you can decrypt it basically. Account lockout policy. In an office building, on the servers, they do account lockout policies. And what that does is, let's say you get your password wrong 3 times, they can lock you out for 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, and then you have to call the admin. Account lockout threshold, that's leeway before they go, nope. Reset account lockout. You can reset stuff. Local policies. Audit policy. Account login events. Account management. Audit directory services and all that. So if you do that. So basically what I could do is it'll tell me if it succeeded or failed. Windows Defender Firewall. You have advanced security for that, but in my case I'm not going to set that up because I don't need that, and for the sake of the video I'm just explaining. You have public key policies. You have encryption filing system, but I haven't turned that on. Data protection. Now remember, this is a client operating system. This is Windows 10 Pro. If this was a server operating system, I would have a lot more tools to use to get where I needed to go. So, and then you could do BitLocker, drive encryption. What is BitLocker? What BitLocker does is basically if I encrypt something on this computer, and let's say someone takes it from me and tries to access it on their computer, it will not work because it looks for the same hardware that it was on. The equivalent like this, you take arcade game. They have this thing called a dongle, which contains code. It's a thumb drive. If the game does not see that thumb drive, it will not boot. Same type of thing. Then you have software restriction. Software restriction means I could tell this computer not to accept certain software or limit a user not to use the software or to use the software. Then you have application control policies, IP security policies. That's Internet Protocol. I could set policies to where certain users cannot go online. I've seen that happen. Then you have advanced. I can explain that. Now, on a server operating system, you would get this as well, but you would have more tools. Administrative templates. Control panel, personalization, force a specific default lock screen, and log on image. So if I click that, here's the cool thing about that. See, down here it's at least a Windows Server 2012, Windows 8, or RT is compatible on 10. So here's what I can do. If I want to play a prank on somebody, I could set their default to be whatever I want, as long as it's clean, but I don't recommend doing that because you can get yourself in trouble. I know a guy who did that and he got himself in a lot of trouble. Regional language options. I can allow different language packages to come through. I can also block. So let's say you want language A, but not language B, I could block that out. Handwriting personalization. I can have it learn user accounts. It says apply the default account picture to all users. So let's say in my company, I want a blue picture for all the accounts. I'm being far-fetched. I don't own a company, by the way. Just doing it for educational purposes, as they would say. I can apply the default account picture to all users, and they can't change that. You have network. I can link layer topology discovery, DNS client, which is domain name system, by the way. I could do link layer. Microsoft peer-to-peer networking services, which is two computers connected to each other through an Ethernet cable. The wireless equivalent of that is called ad hoc mode. QoS, which is quality of service packet scheduler. Secure socket layer settings. If you ever heard the term SSL, I could do suite order or curve order. You could do SSL configuration, TCP IP. That stands for Transfer Communication Protocol, Internet Protocol. You have IPv6 transition technologies. So what I can do is set 6 to 4, which means one building can have 6. It'll translate to IPv4 to go into another building. I've done some networking, but I've never had to set that up. But what's cool about this is all the stuff is going to be somewhat on a server operating system. So basically what you do is you set it up, you connect the computer to the server operating system. You join your domain, and all the policies will get downloaded to the computer. That's why you have this. So I wouldn't need to set it up on each computer. And this is where the Enterprise Edition of Windows comes in. Prohibit access of Windows Connect Now wizards, which means if I plug a device in, I will not be able to do what I need to do. Windows Connection Manager, non-domain network connection, which means I can prohibit outside connections. Meaning you can't go on Amazon, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go on Google, you can't do this. Wireless display. Require pin pairing. That means you have to enter a pin to pair it. So what I could do is block that out. Printers. I could do activate internet printing, isolate print drivers from the application, which means I could tell the application not to use the printer. You could do add printer wizard. Always render print jobs on the server, which means if somebody sends a print job to the server will do it, print it out. You can log directory pruning, retry events, directly pruning priority, pruning interval. I could set it up to allow version 4 V4 printer drivers to show printer extension, which means it's just the driver. So now we have servers. Only allow system backup, which means I can only allow the system backup to the server. I could disallow locally attached storage as backup target. They do this in office buildings, so you can't take company property. Which means if you plug a external hard drive or a thumb drive, it's going to go, no, that's not part of your group policy. As backup target, disallow optical media, which is your DVD drive, CD drive, Blu-ray drive, and stuff like that. I know CD drive is outdated, but I just like to incorporate that so people understand what I am talking about. So I could do start menu and taskbar. Now this is interesting. I could set stuff up so it will not show up on the taskbar or the start menu. I could disable context menus in the start menu, force start to be either full screen or menu sized. I can force it. Remove and prevent access to shutdown, restart, sleep. Remove recently added list from start menu, which yes I can do. Start layout, remove frequent programs from the list. You could do that. Now these options on this particular computer running Windows 10 Pro, I could use some of these options to my advantage. You have system. What is system? You have AppV auto process credential delegation, which means I could tell Windows, hey, I want this person to have credentials, but not this person. You could do power management. I could set this up to where if someone tries to turn off the computer by pushing the button, nothing. Even if they hold it, nothing. Energy saver settings, hard disk settings, notification settings, power throttling settings. I'm in control of that from the server. You have shutdown, require use to fast startup, which means it's kind of that's basically wake on LAN if you ever heard of that. Shutdown options. Turn off automatic termination of applications. Have you ever tried to shut down your computer and you get, hey, these are still running, and you click shutdown and it turns the applications off? I could disable that. You have storage health. I can allow downloading updates to the disk failure prediction monitor, which means, hey, your hard drive is about to die, you better fix it. Storage sense. I can allow storage sense temporary files cleanup. So I could set Windows up to delete temporary files. Turn off configuration, turn off system restore. Now, in an office setting, you're just going to use your computers to do office works. Word, video calling, maybe movie editing and stuff like that. So you're really not going to need that. Besides, anything will be on the server anyway that will map out a drive, and most of the drive folders I've seen have been Z. So when they map it out, you put anything in that folder goes directly to the server. So if the computer crashes, they take that one away and they add a new one. You have troubleshooting and diagnostics. Troubleshooting and diagnostics is when something goes wrong, you have to troubleshoot it to diagnose it, and the diagnosing will help you fix whatever problem you have. So fault tolerance help, disk diagnostic, you can do the hard drives and stuff like that. Resource exhaustion detection, which means if you're using all your resource, Windows is going to say, hey, why are you using all your resource? Is basically what it is. You have Windows Shutdown performance diagnostic. You can configure scenario execution level, standby, execution level, trusted platform module services. I could block certain things and ignore certain things. User profiles. I could add the administration group to roaming user profile. Here's what that is. A roaming profile, at least when I learned this, is you can log in from any computer on that domain and you would be in your account. That's the way they used to set it up. Now, I have to go through Server 2016 and figure out how they changed certain things or if they did. You could delete cache copies of roaming profiles, which means it's like cookies. You could delete the cache, so it frees up memory and stuff like that. And hard drive space, it's like a temporary file. Windows File Protection. Windows File Protection cache location, which I could do it on another server. Limit Windows File Protection cache size. Now, I'm coming from a server standpoint here. So if I say on the server, you know why. Remember, this is Windows 10 Pro. Windows Time Services. I could do time providers, global configuration settings. There's a clock when you connect to the internet. I forgot what it's called. Basically, I can connect in an office environment. I can connect the server to the networking clock, and then the server sets it for all the computers. Windows components. ActiveX Installer, add features to Windows 10. Now this is interesting. Prevent the wizard from running, and you could do all sorts of things here. I'm not going to get into every one of them with that. You have Windows Update. Windows Update for Business. I could select the updates for in a office environment for that. So as soon as I do that, certain updates will not go through. You have work folders. I could do force automatic setup for all users, which means you're going to use this and there's no if, ands, or buts. When you were younger and you got in trouble with your parents and they said, be home by a certain time or you're in trouble, sort of thing. All settings. This is all the settings that you could use. All the processes and stuff like that. There's too many to go through. User configuration. All software settings, Windows settings, and administrative templates. If you go into here, you could do control panel, desktop, Active Directory, desktop, prohibit users from manually redirecting profile folders, which means I could tell the user, no, do not do that. You have network. Network connections, offline files, Windows Connect Now. Now the network connections obviously is a connection offline files, which means files that are not on the network itself. You have shared folders. That gives the name away. You have start menu and taskbar. I could turn stuff on or off. System. Now here's the interesting thing. You have Control Alt Delete options. I can remove that. I can remove the lock computer, or here's remove log off, remove task manager. So when you press Control Delete, if I remove a certain function, you just can't do it. Windows components. Let's go to all settings. This is all the settings. I can hide to add the program from a DVD, CD, or a floppy disk. Yes, people still use floppy disks. I still use them. So this is the local group policy editor. You can change settings in here. And it has all the names that you want. Now, in a server operating system, you will still have these settings. The reason this has it is so an IT admin can join the Enterprise Edition to the network. So let's say your domain is 12345. You right-click this PC, click Join Domain, and you do 12345. Any options you set up on the server will get downloaded to the client. The computer is called the client. So with that said, that is it for this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications.